we are starting the next chapter of our illustrious history of our company. This is a lot of these, you're seeing myself ascend to the main event scene and headlining the pay-per-views, co-headlining with Sting, in his retirement. You're seeing Will Ospreay really show out. We've known what he could. We've known for the last 2 years what he could do, but now as a signed roster member of AEW, it's no, he's here for the long haul with us now. So I always say the season has ended. Now we're starting a new season. We get to answer those questions coming up, and for me, I've never known Hangman Page to be a guy that gives up, ever. Since this AEW started 5 years, I can't think of any times he's actually ever submitted or tapped out willingly. So there's a lot of questions I have on the method of why, or is this the new type of Hangman that he does just quit, or is it spiteful towards me? I have my speculations. Maybe those questions will be answered on Wednesday. I'm definitely going to have questions myself, but I'm not out of the race as being an AEW World Champion.
So, not to give too much away, because I know you want to leave something for the fans who go to the show this week in Duluth, but can we expect then you to be there and to be demanding answers to some of these questions? I mean, I'm sure you're gonna, in other words, you'll have a big part of the show, I'm guessing.
For sure.
Yeah.
I definitely, that was a very significant matchup. That was a very significant world championship match itself. Samoa Joe's a significant champion, probably the heaviest, the biggest champion we've ever had. That's a powerhouse. That's not a simple task in any sense. So he's going to have probably statements to make. I'm going to have statements to make towards him because he still hasn't beaten me yet. We've tagged together, but this is our first time ever facing off, and because of the mark of my eye, I've never been hit that hard by anybody in the ring before. I've been in the ring with Samoa Joe. So I have statements to make for sure about the past, the present, and the future of where I'm going to go. I'm pretty sure Samoa Joe is going to make those same things.
I was talking with Darby last week just about the growth of this company in its 5-year existence, but especially recently, because usually startups don't either make it or they don't ever get to a level to where you guys are now, with the number of people who are buying your pay-per-views, the number of people who are watching you on television. It's been a meteoric rise, really, really fast for a startup company, and now you're kind of riding that wave as well. Just kind of your sense on how far the company has come, even since you've been there. And does anything surprise you with how many of these metrics you guys seem to be hitting?
Oh yeah, for sure. Wembley was the biggest shock to me. Wembley was just can we do that? Is this possible? It's one thing to make the claim, and I'm very, at this point, even then, I was 100% behind the fact that if Tony makes a claim or puts a statement out there, he's about it, and he's not going to do that if he didn't believe we couldn't do it. So, and that's someone you kind of want to get behind, and you want to follow that. That motivates and inspires you, and you want to be a part of a team like that. To be a part of making numbers like that and attendance records and stuff. You actually want to go out there and put your best foot forward and really compete and show out and perform your best. I feel to say I'm surprised, I think I'd be undervaluing how much of how important AEW is, how sufficient we are. I'm not shocked about 16,000 in Greensboro for Sting. In fact, 16,000 people came out to see a show, but really the emphasis was to celebrate Sting. That wasn't shocking to me, but it's kind of surprising as a performer to be in that sense when you're out there performing. It's wow, this is really special. For what we're going to do in the future. That's going to surprise me because I'm still looking forward to a lot of things, but I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of things Tony has up his sleeve that I'm surprised and I'm looking forward to being shocked on, in a good way, in a very good sense.
One of the things that always interests me about wrestling is just how organically things can happen, right? I mean, your character has become, whether you're trying to play a certain role, heel, babyface, whatever, you have become a popular guy with the crowd, whether it's the Swerve's house, whether it's, I mean, people have taken to you in AEW. Obviously you worked hard, but a lot of it did happen just the way you kind of won over the crowd.
For me, it was about committing,
Yeah.
just 100% fully committing and diving into something. My girlfriend, she's a former actress, and has a lot of like tutelage under her belt, like over 10 years in Hollywood and in LA. And she's mentioned to me that when you're going on to screen, it's all about making a choice, making a choice and truly committing and just diving into that choice. You know, you can't be boom, 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 back and forth of like what you want to be, who you are, what your motives are and stuff. So it was about, for me, it was just like, okay, if I'm going to go in, I'm going to go in, and I have to commit, and I have to almost like drown out a lot of criticism or comments, or some people that have skeptics about certain things and methods of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and I got to be authentic with it. And it was all my like little childish like cartoon animated wonders and things that inspired me was put into just making that come to life on screen. And that was always been a challenge, to bring those kind of like outlandish acts. How do I put it on into a screen and for pro wrestling and an audience this is new to, but also is like, this is also relative, you know. And I think that's what took to that people could really see and mirror what these images that I was really displaying on screen were, and putting it to me and attaching it to me. It added just so many more layers and depth that people really attached to it and wanted to see more of it. Yeah. Or wanted to see next week, how do we explain that? Next week, do we dive in a little more? Let me go to social media. Maybe he's telling these messages in his music. Let me listen to his music. Maybe he's explained this on this podcast. Let me check that out. So I was really noticing how all my forms of media were really tracking and attaching to the character that I didn't even really know, but the fans were picking up on it. So I saw the fans picking up on it, and I started like adding a little more pieces to it. And I think that's where it became fun for the fans to really started watching Swerve grow, because there were so many different layers and avenues to really watch that portion of the character and the persona. Just it's displayed all over the place, and you know, there's a lot of messaging in there.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I wanted to ask you about music, because you're doing a lot of different things, whether it's podcasting, music, wrestling. It seems to me like you're doing a lot of things a lot of people would love to do. Are you at a point now where you're kind of at your best spot that you've ever been, whether it's in your wrestling career, with your music? I mean, you're getting to do a lot of fun things and really be very visible about doing those things. Are you the happiest, or is this the best spot that you've been in a while, do you think?
For sure, I would say I'm in a comfortable spot.
Okay.
I don't consider myself the best until like I'm really like 100% like everything is like where I want it to be. Gotcha. The potential. There's still a lot of potential with all those things at one time. AEW is really giving me the platform, the trust, the leniency to really like allow me to do it, and then not necessarily have to like red flag a lot of those things, because you got to be really careful with music, especially. You got to be really careful with those kind of things, and like claims and all these other like, you know, like ownerships and all that stuff. But the fact that I bring like a Flash Garments, you know, who's on the Big Pressure theme, I bring him to AEW all the time. He's always there, so he's pretty much a family member on the roster. He should get his own slot in the roster page, because they see him so much. They welcome him in, and now there's like, okay, we trust this music thing. Montezi, who's my co-host on the Swerve City podcast, he's done themes for Sammy Guevara and Shane Taylor Promotions, this new song. You know, he's been to the AEW a bunch, so now he's in the family, so they trust those things. So it's like all these things have to be kind of brought together in a sense. Like Tony Khan's been on my podcast, so he trusts that. It's integrating all those things to the fact that it's like they can all grow together, and AEW has just been like 100% behind all those things, because they trust it and they feel it. There's no, I'm trying to rip this to pull this off to benefit me. No, it's a team. You know, it's a team. If there's anything that I can help promote, or if I can do more to promote with all these platforms that I have to build up AEW, I'm more than willing to do it.
AEW with a lot going on now. We just talked about, you know, anytime you come off like a big show or a big pay-per-view show, there's always either things get resolved, or in some cases you have questions that you want to answer. And obviously we saw, I think, a little bit of everything on the show in Greensboro on Sunday. So how big does that make this trip to Duluth? Because obviously you have the 2 shows, Dynamite and Collision, and Rampage, of course, as well, all together in this little bundle in Duluth. But how big is this week for AEW?
Like I said, it's almost like Breaking Bad just ended season 3, season 4. Where do you start now?
Yeah.
Where do you follow up? Like, where does these characters go? Where does how does the show theme kind of change up, but also progress? You don't want to change for the sake of changing. You want to change in a sense of like, we only go up. How does we carry that momentum shift over? I think that's where a lot of the fan interest right now is. And a lot of the fans who missed out on seeing the Sting retirement show, like, you can still go back and watch to catch up. Please, I like, you're not missing it. It's not here and gone. I advise you to really go back and watch the entire show and catch up on these things to go into Duluth with even more intrigue that you already had. You've heard about the Sting retirement, I'm pretty sure, on multiple different platforms, you know, like across all industries. So now it's still going to be like, that's a big giant heart that's retired in AEW, and it's like, it's not gone forever, but there's a piece missing now. How do we fill that? Who fills that? What do we fill that with?
Yeah.
You know, you come to Duluth and you watch AEW Dynamite this week to see where it starts, who's that next fulfillment. And it's almost impossible to fill the shoes that Sting left in the business and in AEW, but now it's like, okay, now how do we move forward? Where does Darby go?
Yeah,
that's big.
Mount Everest, apparently.
Yeah, you know, where does Darby go with this? Where did the EVPs, like the Matthew and Nicholas, go? Where did the tag team titles go?
That's right.
Like, there's all that's just that match alone has so much mystery with it, you know. And now with the AEW World Championship, where does it go? Roderick Strong, new international champion. Where does that go with the Undisputed Kingdom? You know, where does Orange Cassidy, who's had this title for like 400 days, like total, where does he go with it now? You know, there's so many different elements of intrigue, and there's like an Osprey, you know, rumors of other signings out there coming over. The new, what is Hangman Page? What does he do? You know, there's all these different methods of intrigue, but there's also starting new as well. And I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in what's starting anew. That next chapter, the follow-up. And people are always thinking about, like, Infinity War was great. How do you follow up Infinity War? Right. We're at Infinity War.
I'm always curious when you've got your own stuff to worry about, obviously, but do you also kind of become a fan just of the product? Because thinking about the show on Sunday night, I mean, there are a lot of shows that go 4 or 5 hours, and you're like, you know, my God, when is the show going to end? But with your show, it didn't seem that long because it was great match after great match after great match. I mean, do you get a chance to watch the entire show and just like marvel at some of the other talent that is in your company that you're like, wow, this is really amazing. What a great time for wrestling right now.
Oh, yeah, I watched a majority of it. I couldn't catch everything because world title.
You got things to worry about.
I gotta tap in and dial in for sure.
Yeah.
Like I've always been saying, like the depth of this roster is in, like, it's not overlooked, but in the same sense, it is. Yeah. It's like there's never going to be anything you're not going to like. You know, there's not going to be anything that's just like going to be like, man, I can miss this. Like, no, you can't. You shouldn't. Like a lot of fans I was seeing talk, and they were like, there's no bathroom break. Where do you take the break? You got to watch everything.
Yeah, right.
Like you walk away, you're going to miss something big. You're going to miss somebody big, or you're going to miss a return. You're going to miss like a legend, like a Ricky Steamboat. Like, what? I miss Ricky Steamboat? You're like, yeah, you should have watched, you know? It's like, and I think that's one of those, like, it's not the key things that we hold on to, and we don't like necessarily, I wouldn't say we rely on that too much, but they are there. Yeah. And those are cool, like little trinkets of like throughout the shows. Like maybe there's a little twist that we just throw it in there that just adds so much to the story of the character, the development, and that changes parts of the show. And the fact that any match can have that is super special about our roster. Yeah. Like, we don't say enough about Christian and the TNT title. Yeah. You know, is Adam Copeland going to come out? Is he? He didn't. Oh my God. Oh, so does he come out once? Like, there's, you know he's
eventually going to come.
He's still looming.
Yeah.
You know, We also have like 18-year-old Nick Wayne, phenom, you know, like phenomenon of a talent, like who was someone I was like, I was wrestling him when he was 16.
Wow.
I was showing him like Adam Copeland, like, and he was like, I couldn't imagine being that good at that age, like. And sure enough, his first spear when he comes to AEW is Nick Wayne. Right. So it's funny how these things come full circle. But that's also like you're watching the growth of you're watching the start of that young man's career. Yeah. That could be the next Sting 30 years from now, and you want to start on watching this kid now. Yeah. You know. That like I said, the roster goes from the depth of like 18 to 64 years old.
And they're great on each end of the spectrum. Yeah, like Sting was great and Nick's great.
Nick's great, and they get in the ring together, and you wouldn't really you wouldn't bat an eye at it. You'd be like, yeah this gets to happen. At Wrestle Dream, no, not Wrestle Dream, but at Full Gear, you got to see like Sting, Adam Copeland, Darby. That's like 3 generations in one team. Yeah. And like, where else do you really have that? Right. You don't really get that anywhere else. And AEW provides that. That's what I said. That's like truly the special depth of what we have here, and that we're still growing. Just like think about that. That's huge. Yeah.
What can fans expect? Why should they go? And because they don't want to miss anything.
Yes.
But just give me the final sell for the big shows this week.
I really feel like this is the true revolution of pro wrestling, not just in AEW, but pro wrestling in the industry entirely. You're going to see my character, me go through some vulnerability. I feel I'm ready to take that next step, and not just to be a contender. I'm ready to be champion. So that's my sell on Swerve himself, like all the bad things that I've done in the company. Like, check it out if you haven't. Look back and watch. It's pretty wild. But do those things haunt me now? Is that the things that's holding me back from becoming a world champion? You got to tune into Duluth this week to see. You know, you got to tune into AEW to watch our growth, watch the next chapter, the next revolution that we go through. You know, I truly feel like we have the best roster in pro wrestling assembled, like possibly ever, quite possibly ever. That's up for debate, but I'm gonna put my money in and say I think we do. The action, the story elements. Maybe there's themes of AEW that may change up. Maybe there's a different production, presentation that's going to be, you know, being presented AEW in a whole different way. You know, I don't know. Maybe we change the colors. Maybe we change up something. Right. But definitely, this is going on to the next season of AEW in this young 5-year history. Check it out, AEW Dynamite, this Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on TBS.